Hello and welcome back to another episode of CDRE Spotlight. I'm Laurel Starks. I am your host and welcome Claudia Marion. She is a CDRE that comes to us out of Las Vegas. She is such a breath of fresh air to our community. I'm excited to speak with her and to share what I know about Claudia with all of you. So, a little bit about Claudia. She has been in Las Vegas and real estate in Las Vegas since 1991. She has sold over $300 million in volume throughout her career there in Las Vegas, which is very, very impressive. She is very credentialed in not only her CDRE, which I'll give you a little bit more about, but she also holds the Senior Real Estate Specialist credential, Resort and Second Home Property Specialist, Military Relocation Specialist, as well as Short Sale and Foreclosure Specialist through the National Association of Realtors. She has been published multiple times. She has won many awards throughout her career in her office, production wise, throughout also the Valley, the Las Vegas Valley. She is top 25 women in real estate through the Women's Council of Realtors. Claudia also is very, very passionate about giving back. She volunteers at multiple homeless shelters, and she also is the cultural chair for Keller Williams KW Cares, and has been since 2011. And she chairs up the committee that is basically the philanthropy arm of her Keller Williams offices. There are four of them right there. She just joined recently the grievance committee for the Las Vegas Board of Realtors, so she will be aiding and assisting in maintaining the integrity of real estate there in her local community, as well as learning a lot, I am quite sure. And Claudia became a CDRE in 2023. She got her CDRE at that time. As most of you know, we have got a lot of continuing education weekly, actually, throughout our program, and she attends all of them. She is a student of knowledge and is extremely versed in what she does. She also joined the Ilumni Speakers Bureau, which is our continuing legal education arm, and she is able to provide continuing legal education to family law attorneys and on real estate matters that impact divorce cases. So, on that note, welcome, Claudia. It's great to
Thank
have
you.
you.
It's great to be here.
So why don't you share with us a little bit about your business?
Mhm.
You've had a stellar career. Talk to us a little bit about your business, your team, that kind of thing. Before becoming a CDRE, what inspired you to get into this space, and what's your business look like now?
Yes. So actually, I grew up in the real estate world. My dad was a framer here in town. So he built some of the hotels,
Oh,
not the
wow.
big ones, but some of like the smaller hotels. If you've been to Vegas, like Silverton Hotel, that size hotels. He also built the Mount Charleston Hotel. So those kinds of things. So I grew up in the sticks, is what we used to call them, the framing sticks of it. My dad worked for pretty much all the builders. So my start in my career was when I was about 5 years old. My dad would take us to work and we'd go check up on the job sites. And I didn't want to be outside in the heat because it's hot. So I would sit in the model homes, which were trailers back then, but I'd sit in the trailers with the new home agents and sign people in and give them cookies. So
That's
that
awesome.
was 5 years old, already getting people and
Wow.
talking to them about real estate. So I actually started then and just pretty much followed that passion. I started in new homes and decided I didn't like doing the new homes because at that point when they left, I didn't get to see the transaction through. I wanted to know what happened to that cute family. Where did they go? And so that's when I transitioned into residential real estate to where I could actually start from the transaction and go all the way to the end of it.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I got my start in real estate. So it's all I've known. It's my whole entire career. Been through a lot of changes, a lot of the ups and downs of it. Where most people have quit, I've just kind of
Yeah.
buckled down and rode the wave.
Yeah.
So that's where I started in my career. I'm not a big team. It's just me. I've had an assistant, a personal assistant, not a transaction coordinator, an actual personal assistant for the last 16 years,
Yeah.
because I know I can't handle the customer service side of it without that special person in my on my team. And then we have a marketing person that is virtual that helps with all our marketing and our social media as well too. So we're just a small team, and my team knows, my clients know who's going to show up when we come to to the house. Um, and the reason, so our business has been built on referrals. So I've had the same coach for 30 years, and we've built it from past clients, word of mouth. That is always what my business has been. You don't see me door knocking or cold calling or doing open houses. It's all word of mouth. We pick up the phone and someone's ready to buy or sell because we helped out their family. And
Wow.
actually, it's kind of cool because we've helped out grandma and grandpa, and then we've helped out the kids, and then we've helped out the grandkids.
Oh
And
my
now we're getting
gosh.
to the point where we're going to start seeing those great grandkids, purchasing. I mean, it's good and sad. I mean, because sad to where we've lost grandma and grandpa, since the beginning, we've lost them. And, now we're all getting up at that age, being, you know, mid of my career. That's the sad part. But then we're starting to see the new generation come on through. So it's actually pretty cool to see. And
Yeah.
actually, my current assistant right now, she is the client. She was, I believe, 4 years old when I helped her parents buy a house, and she's
Wow.
now my assistant. So I've seen her pretty much since she was little, and now she's of age to come work on the team. So that's been great too.
Wow, like a generational agent. That is awesome. So what got you inspired to get into the divorce space?
So I started seeing a lot of my clients going through the divorce, realm, and we've been seeing it more, and we know the statistics are it's happening more and more. And I knew that there was a way for us to be able to help them better because there's a lot of things that we as agents, we're not trained for this. And I saw you speak at a convention at Family Reunion, and you were talking about the disconnect between family law and that there was this niche of how this this type of agent could help the family law and be trained to be able to help the family law learn the lingo, learn the procedures, learn how to read court orders and all that. You didn't quite get into it at that event, but then I did a little bit more digging after I left Family Reunion. You're my one thing that Family Reunion, and I came home and I did the research on it. But the thing was, is that I believe that was 2020, and the world shut down right after that when you
Yeah.
spoke there.
Hmm.
And I think it was in February, and then we were shut down right quickly after that. And
Hmm.
one of the things I remember you had said was, if you don't have time in this business to add, I want to say it was 20 hours a month, then this isn't going to be the thing for you because there's a lot of studying. I'd probably say we have more like 10 hours a week in order to get really crafted in this.
Yeah.
And at that time, I took that and I said, you know what? The market went crazy, right? We're having 30 offers on our listings within 24 hours.
Hmm.
And I'm like, there's no way I can add this to my plate. And so when it finally all settled and we, got back into a normal market where things weren't flying off the shelves, I looked back into it and interviewed for to become a CDRE and stepped right in and jumped in.
And here you are. So
Here I
how's it,
am.
how's it been?
It's been great. It's been eye-opening. There was a lot of things, even being a seasoned agent, there was a lot of things that I didn't know that it's not to say that I should have known because we're not trained to know those
Hmm.
things, but there is so much that I've learned and so many mistakes that I have seen that I have done and not on purpose, by accident, by not knowing any better. So it has changed my life to be able to be more confident, to understand the procedures, to understand the lingo, to understand court orders, to I would say confidence is really what has elevated me to be able to know now what I didn't know then and go into these transactions more confident, not only for confidence for me, but having that confidence that my clients can feel confident in knowing that I'm going to take this and I'm going to handle it and I'm going to make sure that they're taken care of. But then also now the attorneys are also seeing the confidence in me to where they're coming to me and asking me, how can we do this or what should we do? Because they now know that I know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
that's been a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that's incredible. And what would we have a lot of people who contact us who want to get into the divorce real estate space. for all different reasons, who come from all different experience backgrounds and so forth. Um, what are some of the things that you would tell an agent who is looking to get into this business, and maybe even you could highlight a couple of things that you learned that after having been a 30-year veteran of the industry, but you still learned.
So for me, I would say you've always said this too, and this is something I always take to heart too. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm,
It's not something just to add transactions to your plate to, oh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start, getting all this business or, I've got a couple of them actually this year that have taken an actual year to go through the court system, or things are changing, or the parties aren't agreeing and the attorneys are still working on it. So I think it's very fulfilling if this is your true passion, or this is, you really want to go out there. Because as agents, we do want to be out there helping people. We want to help the community. Not to say all, but there are a lot of us that do. And, I think for us, we're in the position to help people that don't know any better. I guess that's what I'm saying.
mhm,
We are completely trained as a CDRE, completely trained different than a traditional agent. We're not taught any of this stuff. We don't go to real estate school and learn how to do this. I mean, we don't even go to real estate school to learn how to write a transaction, right? Or write a contract or any of that. We don't. We learn along the way by the training that we're in. So I would say it's great. It's fulfilling. 2 weeks after I graduated the course as a CDRE, I testified in court, and I remember the attorney asked me. He said, "So you're a CDRE, and he goes, what do you get out of this? Like, why are you a CDRE?" And I
mhm,
said, "Because I'm here to help people. I know people need me, and I know I'm good at it." And he said, "Okay." And, because he wanted to know why. And I think if you truly, truly can understand the process and take what we're taught, it's definitely, it's a game changer. And I think if it's your passion to be able to help people, and definitely bridge that disconnect between family law and traditional real estate,
mhm,
and understand it, and it feels good when you have the ability to protect that client's equity and protect that client. And when I say protect that client, um, we're not taught about domestic violence orders,
mhm,
or we're taught such a different way, to where we basically tell everybody where everybody is, or we're posting certain things. And so I think when we're actually taught to protect the family, protect the equity, protect, if we do have a domestic violence order, protect that client who has that, and not give the other client all the information, because we weren't trained that way. And so I learned my lesson a couple times the hard way before I became a CDRE. That's another reason why I became a CDRE, because I made some mistakes that made me feel so bad about the
mhm,
mistake that happened. And again, it wasn't a mistake that didn't, I just didn't know any better.
mm,
And I can give you a couple examples on that, but I just didn't really know any better. And I felt bad. And I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way for me to not feel the way that I'm feeling right now. And now I know better.
wow. Yeah, that's you're absolutely spot on. We're not taught these things, and how to we assume that a seller is like an entity, and they put out their own disputes. They come to us with a unified decision, or those sorts of things. And in a divorce case, we're like smack in the middle of the two, who have opposing goals, opposing views, that kind of thing. What
Yes.
advice would you give to divorcing homeowners? I mean, you get a lot that come in. You see many that have, they're not going to, this is going to be the only time that they're ever going to have gone through this in their life. So what would you say if you could speak freely to people who are going through divorce that own a home?
I would say there's a huge difference between having a CDRE who's trained in this, trained in mitigating the fights that we are, in the middle of,
Hmm.
and but opposed to a traditional agent as well. And the reason why I say that is because, again, we weren't trained, we weren't taught these things, and these little mistakes can happen, which could cause a huge, something huge down the road. When I say that, I guess it'd probably be number two, is that a CDRE understands the process. We also understand that attorneys do charge, $400 an hour to have a conversation with them. We've also learned in our training as well too. Some charge $900 an hour, and and when we have that, we need to understand that we're not protecting if we're not protecting our clients' equity, that comes out of their equity. All of that,
Hmm.
comes out of that. And I think that's something that, again, we're not trained to understand that. I had a case where it was a $90,000 bill by the time we were done with everything settled with all the attorneys. And we look at that, that's $90,000 that a family has lost to put their children through college, to be able to purchase the other house, to be able to purchase two other houses if that's what they decide to do. And all because of the fighting. If you have a trained CDRE, we understand that and we know how to mitigate that. We know how to just kind of go back to the goal in mind and not have those, balances just keep accruing. And to be honest, by the time I got that case, that all accrued before I even got into the case. That accrued before, because they had an agent before that didn't understand the process and was,
Hmm.
calling the attorney and not understanding that there's things that we can do with how we're trained to mitigate that. That agent wasn't trained to do that. So that, was accruing and accruing and accruing. And by the time I got to it, we're $90,000 in equity. I was able to save the house, from foreclosure a week before it foreclosed. I was able to, that was the one that I testified, 2 weeks after, I graduated. That was my first one. And so with that, I think if you don't have someone that's trained that understands that, and they start making the bill go up, it can be really big in a short time.
Yeah, they
And
pay a.
then,
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a price to be paid for inexperience and for lack of skill, right? So
Exactly.
unfortunately,
Exactly.
unfortunately, sometimes we learn that the hard way.
Exactly. And we have standards and procedures as well too. And those standards and procedures keep us on track. So I would say that's probably the thing that we have with our sellers, that it's a little bit different. And that's usually one of the conversations I have with the sellers as well too. Like, listen, if we work well together, I don't have to bring the attorney in. We can do this together, and we can keep that equity and have your family, have this for your family, for these kids that are sitting here, all that. Because a lot of times people forget it's the kids take the brunt of it. And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand, what they're putting their kids through. But if we can get through it the easiest and with the least amount of fighting, it's better for everybody.
Oh, Claudia, you're frozen.
Oh, I see you.
Here we go. Okay, now I can
There
now
we
I
go.
can see
Okay.
you and hearing you again. Okay.
Okay.
Um. Okay. Continue.
So yeah, so that's just kind of staying on track, and then we're trained with our standards and procedures to stay on track. And I think that's kind of one of the things that homeowners need to understand, that
Hmm.
we are here to help them and we're here to protect their equity. And we don't see them as, let's hurry up and sell this house so we can hurry up and get a paycheck. We're not that type of agent. And that's what, they need to understand as well too.
That's good. Very, very good.
Mhm.
Um, so next and final question, that is, what advice would you give to family law attorneys about real estate? Because lawyers aren't trained in real estate either. They don't teach all of this stuff in. Okay. So they don't train all of this stuff in law school. So what advice would you give to family law attorneys when they have cases that involve real estate?
Yes. So I would say my biggest one that we've just kind of had, the last raise in the bar that we had was, we have a lot of guidelines that attorneys don't understand, that we have to follow our procedure. And when I say procedures, we have the MLS we have to follow. We have National Association of Realtors we have to follow. We have state and division laws and regulations we have to follow. Even our office has certain procedures that we have to follow that our broker has us following that may be broker specific, right? It just depends on the lawsuits that have come into your company. Standards have changed, or your broker changes the procedures of what you can and cannot do. And I think they forget that we're sometimes not being difficult when there's a court order that we can't follow. We're protecting ourselves and we're protecting the client as well too, because we have to follow those. If not, we're in trouble. At that point now we're at the grievance trying to get out of you know they're coming after us and saying, well, you didn't follow this and you didn't follow this ethic and you didn't protect the client. And I think they forget that we have a lot of stuff that we have to follow too, you know to stay into compliance and to make sure that we stay out of trouble. Just like, they like to testify and they like to go do all that stuff. They're attorneys, right? Or maybe they don't, but I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in front of the board or anything like that with any kind of violations or anything. So I think they forget that we have to follow a lot of different standards and procedures, and sometimes we can't follow the court orders that are set in place for us to follow because of that. Um, and then I think they kind of don't understand my position sometimes as well too. When I say my position is, attorneys forget sometimes, and maybe they don't, or that's kind of how I feel and I see it on my side, is that they protect one attorney protects one party, the other attorney protects the other party, and we're stuck right in the middle protecting both parties. And what happens with that is that we have to be biased and neutral, right? You've got one attorney fighting just for this one, fighting for this one fighting for this one. And we're in the middle to where we've got both parties fighting, and we're actually in the home. So we get to feel all the emotions of what's going on with the home. We get to see the kids sitting there. We get to see the kids going through the turmoil of their family falling apart. They're sitting in an office without a family, and we're involved in all of that stuff. And sometimes there's certain things that we can't do because if we follow one attorney's, well, I want you to do this and this, but it's not in the best interest for our client, because again, we're the fiduciary for that one, for both clients equally. Sometimes we just, it's not easy for us to be in that position. And I think they forget that we need to, our job is to handle the home. Our job isn't to mitigate some of that fighting before. And I think sometimes they forget that, yes, we are CDREs, but again, there's some stuff they want us to do that it's not in our scope to be able to do that. And so that would, I would say, probably be number two. And if we're not court appointed, that's another one too. If we're not a court appointed and written in that court order, we have to take direction from our client, because that is who we work for. We work for the client. And I think that either they don't know or they forget, one or the other. And that's hard, because one of the things is that the client says, well, I don't want you telling my attorney, or I don't want you telling the other spouse's attorney. We can't. And that's the thing, is that we can't do that. And so again, being a CDRE, taking all the training that we do have, and taking all the classes and courses, those are things we now know that we wouldn't have known as a traditional agent, and that keeps us out of trouble as well too.
Yeah, those are huge, and it can be very easy to fall into wanting to, kind of follow the direction of an attorney who, and sometimes attorneys are bullies, right? Sometimes, and it can be easy because they are an attorney, to follow and to follow, some requests or some demands,
Hmm.
and yet at the end of the day, we've got a license we've got to uphold. So
Exactly. I
anyway,
got to
but
feed my children, my family.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they'd
yeah.
be in the same position too, to be honest. I mean, they wouldn't risk
Mhm.
their license as well either. And we're not here to risk ours as well, because, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have I don't have another career to fall back on. So I
Ever
don't
since
know.
you were 5 years old.
Pretty much. This is my life.
Well, thank you, Claudia. It's been a pleasure. You've definitely given a lot of insight and some really good advice, and so I appreciate you spending some time with me and getting this information out. I also just love being in the program with you, and I'm glad that you're here with us. So, thank you.
No, thank you so much. I've learned so much from you, and I just appreciate you.